Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Python programming course. I hope you are all doing well and successfully complete the practice session I have given to you, which was printing the Python programming. And my name is John Doe, and I am learning Python 9 in the VS Code terminal. In today's session, we will continue our Python learning journey by exploring some of the most fundamental concepts in programming. These concepts will help us write more meaningful and interactive Python code. So let's recap some of the previous things of our lecture one. So as you can see in lecture one, we started by a question which was what is programming? So I already told you programming is giving set of instructions to the computer. Basically, computer only understand binary language of the zeros and ones. So there is a interpreter converts our Python code into which converts our Python code into machine language. Then we have learned some of the properties of Python. That Python is an interpreter-based language. It is a high-level language, and its applications also we have learned, like the artificial intelligence, web development, data science, cyber security, and the desktop app also. Uh, we saw Python is used in various other fields also. We also wrote our first Python program and learned about the history of Python. So, as you already know, the Python was made by a Dutch programmer name was Guido van Rossum and released in 1981. So, and then we have made our first Python program, which was print hello world. And we have also learned how to print number and print string and number in same line. So if I run this code, you can see the output in the terminal below. So let's back to our lecture two. So today we are moving one step forward and exploring some new things. So I have a question for you. Can we do all things of Python that's web print statement? The answer is no. To build the programs, we need a way to store information inside the computer's memory. And there a concept would come which was named as variable. In today's lecture, we will learn what variables are, why variables are needed, how to create variables in Python, and most importantly, identifiers, Python keywords, and comments also. Now, by the end of today's session, you will be able to write programs that not only display information but also store data and interact with users. So I only want to say that programming is a practical skill. If you not try to write programs on the code data or just watch video, it will be of no use. So let's come to the points. Let me write down lecture 2. So uh, first topic of our lecture 2 is variables. The question here is what are variables? So variable is the most fundamental concept in programming. In fact, almost every program that you write in Python or any other programming language, you will use variable in one or another way. So before writing more complex programs, it is important to understand what are variables and why we need them. What are the need of using variables? So, so here I write the like need of variables. So, to a simple question. Imagine you are developing a program for a school. The program needs to store the name of a student, the student's age, and the marks they stored in an examination. Where should this information be stored? If the program doesn't store this information on the anywhere, it will not be used later. For example, it won't be able to display the student's name, calculate his average marks, and the other things. For a real life analogy, let's understand with a real life example. Imagine you have three labeled boxes on the study table. First is labeled books, other pen, and the other notes. Whenever you want to keep your books, you place them in the books box. Whenever you need a book, you know exactly where to find it. The label helps to organize the things. A variable works in the same way. Instead of storing physical objects, a variable stores data. And just like each box has a label, every variable has a name. So for the definition, you can write it is a location memory that is used to store data. Simple as that. Now let's understand when we create a variable, Python Python reserves a small space in the computer's memory. Then the value is stored in the memory location, the value or data you want to store. The variable name only acts as a reference to that value. Instead of remembering the memory address, we simply remember the name of the variable. So let's understand roughly how to create a variable. We will also do this in the code editor also. So suppose you want to store a name which is John. So you will write John as name is equal to, as I already previously told you, strings are always enclosed in double quotes. You will write John. So here name is a variable name. Variable name is name, and here name is variable, and John is the value stored in that variable. The equal sign here is called an assignment operator. Here the John string is assigned in name. Assigned means it is stored, you can say. The assigns the value in the right hand side. The value should be on the right hand side. It should come straight. You can't do that like you if you want to write like this, John. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. And it's right. You can't do this right. Okay. So now let's take another example through a number. Here I take the variable name as age is equal to and not take the string. I have to take number. So let's take 20. Here the variable name is age and the value stored in that variable is 20. Okay. So you have to learn that The value that should be stored in the variable should always be on the right hand side. It should not be on the left hand side. Like I have done this. It is totally wrong. Now you can also print this variable. So let's come to our code editor for a while. Here I have printed the previous programs. Now let's make another file named as 2.py. Now let's make a variable which I have made there also, which was name equal. Here the variable is highlighted by the sky blue color. Here is also VS Code also into the variable. You have to write here John. In next line, I take a variable name which is age equal to 20. On the next line, I am taking a variable name marks and which is 95.5. So you are wondering how we are putting decimal values. So it is also a type. It is an integer 20 and it is a float value. Okay, we will talk about this later. So now let's print all these. Print. We write here name. Next line print. We write here age. And in the next line we write print. And we write here our marks. Okay. Now we try to run this. And you say it is coming. John 2095. It's coming. You can see if I maximize it, you can see the output is coming. John 20 and 9.5. You notice something interesting. We in these print statements, the print statement we only use, we are not using quotations mark here. Previously, when we use the print statement, if I told in the first lecture, we have used here quotation marks. है ना? See, you have to remember this that quotation marks are only used if you are want to print a particular string. If you store if you store here marks, not marks, name equal to John and try to print here name, but with double quotes, then the output would be only, guess it, the output would only be name. Not it will not be the value that is stored in the name variable because here name is converted into a string. If you want the output of the John, you have to remove these double quotes. Now the value of will John will come in the output terminal. We can see practically in the code editor. If I here, if one in the name, if I put double quotes, there will be no error, you can say, but the value would be wrong. It would print name 20 and 95.5, not the value which is John stored in the name variable. So you should always remember not to put the variable name under double quotes. Now, if we change the value, right? If I change the value of 20 to 18, let's see what could be the output. Let's clear this and see the value is changed because we have changed the value which is stored on the memory location. We have not created a new variable. Have changed the value which was stored in the variable. Like if I give you a real life example, uh, let's imagine like we are writing a program for a bank account. Okay, a customer balance today can be of you can say 5,000 5,000 rupees. But if tomorrow, so I also tell you to here there should be a balance variable in which the value of 5,000 should be stored. But if on the another day or tomorrow, if we like add deposits like 2,000 rupees more, TMO, tomorrow, if we deposits like 2,000 rupees, then the value of balance should be changed. So the current value of balance should be 5,000 plus 2,000, which would be equal to your 7,000. So that's why it makes it important to update a value of a variable. Here we can't make a new variable which was named balance because we lost our previous information which was 5,000. That's why it is used. Another important note is at only a one time variable can only store one value if it is either 5,000 or 7,000. It can't store both values. One variable can store only one value. So it arises a question: What if? What if I here? If I like make two variables, city is equal to Mumbai, and in the another line I made a variable with the same in city equal to Kolkata. Then if I print the variable city, what the value of it should come. So let's run it on our code editor. So let's clear this and made a new variable which was named city, and uh, we are putting a value on city variable which was Mumbai. In the next line, we are doing the same thing. We are making a new variable city and putting a value Kolkata. Okay. Now If I print city and run my program, you see the Kolkata word comes. By this, you can understand that this value replace this value, or the Mumbai value is replaced by Kolkata value, and Kolkata is print at the end. Even though we first assigned Mumbai as a city name, it was replaced by Kolkata. Therefore, the output is Kolkata. Now you know what variables and are and why they are important. You know how to create variables, assign values, update them, and display their contents. However, one question still arises: are there any rules for the naming of variables? The answer is yes. You can't give any name to the variable. There are special rules. If you if I ask you some questions like, can we use spaces in variables? Can a variable start with a number? So there are rules, and we call these rules are variable naming rules. So before going to the variable naming rules section, let's revise one time a quick recap of the variable part. So here we first try to learn what are variables. So variables are a location memory that is used to store data. We can store our digital data in these variables. In Python, if we make a variable name, we have to put an assignment operator. We call it assignment operator. This one. We call it assignment operator. So assignment operator. Okay. So now let's come to our. I have told you that you can't put the variable name on the right hand side. It should always be on the left hand side. The value that is stored in the variable should be on the right hand side. Here we stored a number in a age variable. So then we learned how to print variables, and I told you not to put the here double quotes in place of name. Here we learned how to update the variables, how variables are updated, and what will come if I uh, write here output. So I already told output will be here data. Okay. So now come to let's come to the variable naming rules. You know, variables are so much important. So it is definitely makes it important to learn how to name them. What are the correct rules for naming? In Python, we follow certain rules for the naming of variables. If we violate the rules, an error will come. So let's understand these rules one by one. For the first rule, like a variable, a variable should begin with only variable name, or you can say variable name should begin with only a letter. It can be either uppercase or lowercase. It depends. Uh, can be either uppercase or lowercase. Okay, and it can be begin only with a letter or can begin with a underscore. For those who don't know what underscore is a type of special symbol. We like print it like this. This dash, which is printed at the a little bottom, we call this as underscore. So a variable can only begin with a letter or a underscore. Like for example, if I give you example for example, name is correct, variable name, and for age, it's correct. If we make a capital letter name, it's also correct. Or full, it's also correct. If we put a underscore before any variable name, it's correct. Like it's a correct variable name. But it gets wrong if we start it with a number. Like if I write 2 months, it is wrong. If I write month 2, it is right. So a number can be at any place except the first place. So you should all remember that a number can only be at the so second place or like any other place except first place. It can contain number but it can't begin with the numbers. So let's give some more examples in the code editor and try to print them. So here I make a variable student one, which is Rahul, marks 2025, and here it is. We say like 30, class 12, equal to science. So these are the valid variables name that we can put. For the invalid ones, here we can write 123 student. Here you can say it is already been error, and you can put Rahul. Okay, if we put it to 025 and marks and put 30, you can say it is giving error. Now, what will happen if we try to print them? Let's see. If we write print student 1, then then we try to print, let's print in 1 only, or we can print in different no problem. Print marks 2025 and print class 12. Then now we will print 123 student, and here here we print 2025 marks. Here only giving reason parenthesis was not closed. So let's run this program and see where we get error. So we got here error in the line 8. When computer understand this line, it was perfectly fine, no problem. But when computer comes to the line and read this line, it get an error. What was the error? Error was a syntax error, invalid decimal literal. Okay. So if we delete these lines and delete this line also, now if we print, the output is right. Now let's move to our rule number next to rule, which was which is like spaces are not allowed. Spaces are allowed. Here you can write full name. It is incorrect. Full name is equal to Virat Kohli. So it is incorrect because you have a space, and I already told you here that only one special character you can use in a variable, that is underscore, but you can't use space, so it would be wrong. For the right one, you have to make the space, like if I write here full name is equal to Virat Kohli, it will not give any error. Here Python trees space is a separator. If you're if you want to use like this only, you can use like, it is wrong now. I have to put cross here. If you want to use a space like thing, you can use like full and give a underscore or two underscore, no problem. Then right here name is equal to Virat Kohli. So these two ways are right ways for variable declaration. It is the upper one is wrong. The next rule you can say it's special characters are not allowed. As I already told you, space is a special characters. Apart from that underscore, no other special characters are allowed. Okay, like for some special characters, I write down for you. Like if I write here at the rate, percentage, exclamation marks, and others like dollar sign, and you can say, and all the other special characters which are there, they are not allowed. So I should advise to not to use these letters in your variable name. So our another rules is, as I already told you previously, that Python is a case sensitive language. Python is a case sensitive language. Here capital N and small n means different things. So therefore it is a property which is called as case sensitivity. I write down here for you. Case sensitivity. So in Python, full name, full underscore name and full underscore name means there means a totally different. However, the both ways are of writing are right, but it is a different variable name and it is a different variable name. I show you in the that one code editor. If here I put firstly let clear these, and if here I make two variables, first was name or full name is equal to Virat Kohli, then full name is equal to okay, Sachin Tendulkar, Sachin Tendulkar, and one I could also say like full name with all small full name is equal to you can say any of the actor name, or you can say like anything. Guido V. Rosen, we write the researcher who did the founder name Guido Van Rossum. So all these three variable names are different. If we print full name and then I print full name with capital N also. So he is also giving me suggestions, and then I print with small m full name. All the outputs will be different. See here, Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, and Guido Van Rossum. So it makes this important to write the name, variable name very carefully. So always pay attention to the uppercase and lowercase letters. The second one is not a rule. The second one I'm saying the next rule is you can't say it is a rule. It is like a good practice. You should all you should always use like meaningful names. However, you can use any name like any ABCD you can use here, alphabet, any combination of alphabets and numbers also here. But you should always use meaningful names because it increases readability of your code. and it's also give a good impression. Like you should use name for a name, age for an age, like this. Okay, you can put here any name like Python or Rahul will be most Rahul, and age would should be like 20. If you give age is equal to Rahul, Rohan, or it it's difficult to understand how age can be a like a string. It should can only be a number. That's why you should use meaningful names. Okay. Now there are types of styles also in variable naming. Like here, if I type to like firstly I should write naming styles. So there are various styles in which you can name the variables. Uh, firstly I should tell you about snake case. Snake uh, case. From this you can say like you have to write all things in uppercase. Oh sorry, all things in lowercase. Okay, all things should be in lowercase, and in place of spaces you should use underscore. Okay, now for the I should tell you some another case also, like camel case. Here the first letter of first word is small. Like for example, I give you like uh, full name. We take full name also. So in here, full the first letter of full should be small and the name letter should be capital. So it follows camel case. And there are various other also. You can also write also like full name, but it's no use to discuss this. These two are sufficient. Okay. So let's come to some beginner mistakes that people often do here. Like you can't store hyphen or any other special character in string like full name. It is wrong. It is a mistake. Not like full space name. It is also wrong. Either way, you can use underscore. I am repeating these things because people mostly mistakes with these things. Now we know how to create variables and name them correctly. So I'll let you know about a new word which was identifier. We will talk about this. So what is identifier? We will talk later. Firstly, are variable names and identifier the same thing or it is a difference between them? Okay. So let's discuss this. So by the name identifiers, or we should like quick revise our previous so it should not vanish from your memory. So here we learn about variable naming rules. So I told you variable should only begin with a letter, can be either uppercase or lowercase or underscore. For example, I gave you name a capital name with name, and these are wrong and the one two is correct. Space are also not allowed inside variable name. Okay. Also, you can't use other special characters. Only underscore is allowed. Also, case sensitive is there. Capital F and small f means different things. Capital and small means different things. Always use meaningful names to increase readability of your code. So then I told you about that you should use meaningful names about the styles, snake case, camel case. Now by doing this, you can assume that these rules are very small and easy to know. But it should have good practice to follow these rules. Even in professional software development, choosing good variables name is considered as a good programming skill. Now let's move to our identifiers. So I want to ask you, at first glance, you might think identifier and variables are same things. Firstly, let me tell you what is identifier. So identifier is a thing which is used to identify a thing, identify something. Identify is a like a name. Like uh, here we in Python for defining a function we use def keyword. Here def is also an identifier, but you give a name. It's also an identifier. So let's discuss this in details. The variable name is only a one type of identifier. There are various types of identifier. So we use identifiers to give names to things like variables, functions, classes, modules, and objects. Variables will know, functions, I will tell you, function classes, and we will talk this later. So here, if I like write name is equal to Rohan, so what do you think here the identifier is? Here, the name is an identifier. Okay, here the name is identifier. Sorry, but here name is also a variable too because it is storing. That's why here name is a variable too. Right here, you can understand it. Okay, now let's give you an example of function. Should not worry about the syntax of the function. I am giving you just for an example only. So for the function, we define functions like by the def keyword or identifier to say there. Def is a keyword. Sorry, I told you wrong. Def is a keyword here. Okay, and we write greet and then we write here print hello. So the work of this function is to print hello. Here the greet is a identifier, but it's not a variable. Here greet is a identifier, not a variable, because it is not storing anything. Okay, and for the class I also can remember it should more complex. For the real life analogy, imagine a school. Every student has a name, every teacher has a name, every subject has a name. So these are variables or identifier. You can say both, as it is used to identify different things, book, table, chair. Okay. The good news is that the identifier follows exactly the same main rules that we learned for the variables. So no need to learn for this name rules again. For the examples, any variable name you can take as a identifier name, like student name, average, marks, like this. These are all are identifiers. Now, as for the variables, the programmer should also choose meaningful identifiers. Means the function name should be meaningful. Here, greet means to greet someone. So here we are printing hello. So that's mega question. Why learning of identifier is important? Why are identifiers important? So imagine you are working on a project that contains thousands lines of code. Here we are writing only 5 to 10 lines of code. But if a project contains thousands lines of code and every variable name is A1, A2, B1 or any other name and function name to XYZ, it will make it difficult to understand what is the usability of this function, where the function is used. That's why it should be a good practice to use here to provide identifiers. So, can we use any word for identifiers? No. There are some words that are reserved. We call is keywords that are if, for, and while, or you can say print also. Okay. We can't use this as an identifier, or you can say a variable name. So let's quickly summarize what we learned here. We learned about identifier and what is an identifier? How is identifier different from your variables? You can say that for a short case, a variable can be an identifier. Can it's always an identifier, but an identifier must cannot be like it is not must that it should be an variable. Okay. Okay. Then comes to our keywords, Python keywords. Here I told you that if, for, and while print. These are some reverse. These are words that are like used in Python for specific work. Like print is used to print it. We can't use print for like your identifier. So I already told you these the words are called keywords. So for the definition, I can write here a keyword is a word that has a special meaning in the Python language. So that's why we can't use them as a variable name or an identifier. For a real life example for this, everyone knows red means stop on a traffic light. So you cannot decide that for a red color you will like pass or like understand this as a green or a go signal. So the meaning is already fixed. Same way it is applied in the Python. So for the keyword, this is if keyword. It is actually a can say it is using conditional statements if it's the statement written in these blocks or you can say code that are used in conditional statements. For the brief introduction I am giving to you just we will study it later in detail and code written under this block if block is run only when the condition becomes true. So it is a brief introduction only. So now if I write if is equal to 20, here I am taking if as a what? If as an identifier name, identifier or variable name, identifier slash variable. And it is wrong because it is reserved for a conditional statement to use in conditional statement. That's why we can't use if and the other ones also. So there are some Python keywords which are only used for a specific words, not for using in other scripts. You can say a keyword is a reserved word. So I should tell you some examples of keyword like if that I told you, else, for, while, true, and false. There are many more. Okay, like none also, def, which is used for defining features, class. We will talk these detail later. Now let's you might have wondered that how many keywords should Python have? How should I remember whether a name is a keyword or not a keyword? For this, you can use these two, three lines. Here, you could write import keyword and try to print keyword or I think dot q list or QW. I like this thing. So, if you try to run this program, so let's try in our code editor. I should copy this and try to print in our code editor. If we try to print this and run, Python gives you a list of the keyword, all keywords which are available in Python. Here we say false, none, true, end, else, assert, async, await, break, class, continue, def, del, elif. So all these are reserved words. We can't use these words as a, you can say, variable name or identifier. If I try to make a name with if is equal to 10 variable name and try to print if and run this program, you can say syntax error is there, invalid syntax. We can't use if as a variable name or identifier. So I should copy this and paste this in our. So these are the variable names. So you can see these are the this is the whole list false, none, true that can't be used as a identifier name. Now one important note for you that the list of keyword, this whole list is slightly different in other Python version. For checking your Python version, you can do it by a CMD, like here type CMD by clicking Windows button and right here Python testers version and enter. Here you got your Python version which is Python 3.14.6. So the list of these reserved words can be different in the previous versions of the Python. Okay, so now we know what our keywords are and why it can't be used as an identifier or a variable name, for instance. But when programmers write large programs, they often add nodes inside their codes to explain what different systems are doing. These nodes cannot be ignored as these are very useful nodes. These are called comments. It doesn't get interpreted by the interpreter. It is only for the noting purpose. So let's learn what is the what are comments. So I put the next heading which are which is comments. So let's understand what are comments. So so far we have learned how to write Python statements, create variables, and understand keywords. What are keywords? But imagine if you are writing a program and that contains hundred of lines of code. After a few months, you open the same file of Python and forgot what is the function of these words, what the use of this function. So you will not remember. So for that note taking further, we used comments in the Python file. So for the definition, you can say that like uh, a comment is a note taking, note written for, note written inside, inside a program to explain the code As I already told you, when Python runs this program, the comments are ignored. They do not affect the output of the program. Their purpose is simply to make the code easier to read and understand. For the real life analogy, let's understand with a simple real life examples. Imagine you are reading a textbook. While studying, you use a pencil to write small notes in the margins. Already, all of them, all are done these things. So these small notes, we call it short notes, help us to remember the lecture. However, these are not the part of the original books. Some tricks we all write. For the comments are also of two types. Firstly, there are single line comments and double line comments or multi line comments. Single line comments, and there are also double line comments. So these are the two types of ways for writing comments. So let's understand these two types also. So for the single line comments, for the single line comments, we use the hash symbol, this hashtag or hash symbol. If you write this, this, this symbol before any line, it it becomes a comment. Let's do it practically. Here, if I make a name and write Virat Kohli, so most of the people know who is Virat Kohli. He's a cricketer. But for the someone who doesn't know who is Virat Kohli, so I can add here a comment and we can write here name of a cricketer. Okay. So this information tells what is the use of this statement. The Virat Kohli name is the name of the cricketer. So by this uh, the comment works. Okay. Now let's come to like some other examples also. Like if I give you an example for this, if you like want to store multiple lines here, you can see if I enter and write anything here, it is not a comment. The VS Code will make the font color of comment green. So you can analyze it that here the font color is white. So it is not a comment. So if I want to write a comment here also, I have to use the hash symbol. So for not to repeat the hash symbol, there are another type of comments we will be called multi-line comment. Multi-line comment. Here we use triple double quotes like this, 2, 3, and then we write this is my, this is my comment. So here we use this your you can say that this symbol triple double quotes. Now let's try this also. If I write here one, two, three, and for the multi-line comments, BS4 highlights is in the same color as of the string. And I write here he is uh, he is an amazing player. So it also becomes a comment. It is a multi-line comment. Multi-line comment. Okay. So here are the two examples. I don't think there is a need for like other examples. So like you can also treat it as a multi-line string also. If I put here three strings, let's experiment this and print name. Let's say Virat Kohli comes. So by using three quotes, you can also write strings also. Okay. And one more thing, you can use an keyword in the comment inside a comment. There will be no effect of that. See, no error. So now let's understand why these comments are important. So the first thing is that if you are working on a calculator program, like if you take an identifier, your number, variable name, that num1 is equal to 10, num2 is equal to 20, and you make a variable result is equal to num1 plus num2, and then you print result. This code is very simple. It is a simple piece of code. Everyone can understand. Here we have made one, number two, and we have done the sum of these numbers and printed the result. But in a condition of 100 lines of code, it becomes difficult to understand all the lines of the code. That's why the need of comments is there. Now, if I make this program with comments, so in that way, I will just copy this, and then I will paste here. And firstly, here I will put a single line comment above it saying that storing the first number, and you can skip one line also, or you can no problem. For the second, I can write storing the second number. For the third, you can write calculating the sum, and at the end, to write display the result. If I show you this, in the code editor, if I remove this, or I can also make this whole a comment by pressing ctrl plus slash. Okay, this is slash. So if I paste here my program, here you can see that how good my program is looking. Here we firstly we can say we are storing the first number, then storing the second number, then calculating the sum, and then displaying the result. So if we run this, we get our output which is 30. So it is an right way of doing things. Right way is this also, but it is the best habit for doing this. So let's mark it tick. Okay. Now there are also a way of writing comments, meaningful comments. Like if you're writing here age, age is equal to 18. So you are thinking what should I write for the comment? And you simply write here variable. So it is not a meaningful comment. It only shows that it is a variable, but which we already know. So it is not a is not a meaningful comment. In place of that, you should write here like the storing the user's age. You should write if I copy this and paste here. Yes, you should write storing the user age. It is the right way. Also, don't do over commenting. Like if here I write print hello. By the statement itself, you can understand that here we are printing hello. So no need for writing comment for this. You should also update the comments when your code changes. So also for in front of program, you should not use a hash symbol, otherwise it will not be printed. Now we know why we use comments and why are these useful. So what if the user want to enter its own name or age? Here we are storing our name. Like here we are the developer. But if user wants to enter his own name, what is the way of doing this? So now we will understand what is our input and output. Okay. So before that, let's summarize what we have learned in this section. So here we learned about comments. For comments, it is a note written inside a program to explain the code. The comments are of two types, single line comments and multi-line comments. This is the way of writing single line comments and this is the way of writing multi-line comments. Using comments is a good habit in your program. Okay, and you should also avoid over commenting. Now let's come to our input and output in the Python. So every program, Python program you write, like if I write here, mm, if I write here, if I comment this out and write here, print hello. So what are you exactly doing? You are just outputting a string with this print statement, and when you run code, it will show on the terminal screen. But in real world programs, they all not always print the same message. They are very interactive and print what user want. They interact for ask for the information and process it and display the result. This is possible because of the input and output. So let me understand output. For the output, I already told you that for output we use print statement. You already know print, print, and then you should write anything like two or any number, any string, hello, like anything with this. And when we run this, we got our output to hello. This display information is only known as output. We can also display our information by putting inside the variables. Like previously, I told you how to store information in a variable. Like here, you make a variable like name and store information Rahul. And if you want to print Rahul, you can simply type print and here you can print name, and the output would be Rahul in the output stream. So instead of printing fixed name text, it is printing the information stored in that variable. So now we understand what is about we understand about input. As you already know, input itself the word means like giving something. Okay, it receives information from the user. Instead of writing fixed values inside the program, we allow the user to provide them while the program is running. The one thing here is to learn about it runs when the program is in between. Okay, so let's write our first input program roughly, and then we will run it on our code editor. For the input, and user should take input in a variable. If I write here a variable name, but I want to ask the name of the user. So I will write here input, then parenthesis, and I will write here nothing. If I write here nothing, there a blank space come in front of user, and user can write something there in the terminal. And I can after user write their name, I can print name. If I try to run this in the VS Code, so if I try to run this in the VS Code, Here you can see a blank space come. Here I can write my name. Like I can write here Rahul, and the next print statement had printed the Rahul name. But it seems to be incomplete, like a blank space only. That's why we put here some text so that user can understand what he has to take, what he has to like put in the this input. Like I can like enter your name. Okay, if we write this, yeah, in double quotes, if you like that strings will be enclosed in double quotes. Enter your, however it is not a string, then also if we try to, then here will be uh, written below enter your name. Now it is easy to understand what should be to give input, what input should the user give. If I write here Rahul, I will get Rahul as a output also because we are printing Rahul here. Okay, now if we, if like in the between of program, if I like run this again and if I keep this blank and press enter, so here the in input tag there is nothing. So here it skips n line. Okay, we can also take a number also as an input. So for taking number as an input, uh, you can like take your name and you can like here age, and you have to write. I think int you have to write here. But if you are giving your age in point 0.5, but it can't be in decimal now. That's why if I write here int and then it take it as an input, I can write here 12 and press enter and we will get 12. Here the 12 is an integer or a number. But here if we like remove this int, what by default the input tag takes it as a string. Here I write like 12. You, however, you will see like same as a tested number, but it is here it is string and here it is text. Okay. Now I will tell you how to take multiple inputs. So there's a not a big deal for take multiple inputs. You can write here age is equal to int and input. Right here enter your age. Sorry, here I have to put name, and you can print here. As I previously told you, you can print multiple things in one print statement in the previous lecture. My name is, then you can put comma and write a name variable, and you will again like, and my age is age variable to write here. Okay. So when you click on the run button, you can see here. Firstly, it will ask me to enter your name. I will write here Rahul. Now it will ask me to enter your age. So I will write 12. So now it is printing my name is Rahul and my age is 12. So here you are taking multiple output and by taking multiple inputs. Okay. However, you can take other example also. If you want to like print this in a different line, copy this, then write print in different line, paste this, remove the comma. Now, if I enter print or click the run button, then if I enter my name Rahul and enter my age 18, then here my name is Rahul and my age is 18 in the two different lines. Then for the real life examples, think about the website where you go logging in. They ask for the username and for the password. Similarly, ATM machines also ask you for your username and password. Online shopping asks your delivery address, OTP, and many other things. There are also some mistakes people often do here, like writing simply input. Like if I write here errors, people often write only input and you write here enter blah blah blah. Okay, but when you try to run it, nothing happens. Let's take in a practical example also. If you copy this, if you if I try to copy this and paste it in my code editor, then if I click run, let's say delete this, then you see only enter happens, and if I write something, nothing happens because firstly, I have now not stored this input information in any variable as there is no variable here. So I have to put here a variable. I have to write here name is equal to input, then and enter. And after that, I have to print. It is optional if you want to print or not. Okay. So these are the this is first error now. Second, people often write print after this input. However, it is actually correct, but it is the right practice to store in a variable. Like if you write here print, sorry, input and write here like enter, it will work. Definitely, it will work. But the problem is with this code is that it's only usable at a one time because you are not storing information in a variable. You can't reuse another. That's why it is not considered as a good practice. So now you know how to display information using print and how to receive information by using your input statement. So it's time to so that we can practice few programs. simple programs using variables, input and output together. So let's take our first program. So we'll begin our exercises. Exercise 1. So for the first exercise, the task is to like make a variable name, make a variable and the you name the variable name and store information in it, which is Alice. And for age, you should put 20, and for the city, you should put Delhi. Now, your task is is to display this information in separate lines, like the output format should be print. Sorry. Output format should be name Alice, age should be 20, and the city should be Delhi. Now, before now, firstly, you should pause the video and try to solve it by yourself. If you are not able to do, then rewatch the video. So, according to our question, we have to make three variables here. So, our first variable would be name, and we take here name as Alice. Then age should be 20, and city should be Delhi. Now you have to print all these information. Click print right here, name, and by giving comma right here, name, and another line write same print. Here you have to write write age within enclosed age, and right here age. Another line you have to write the city, and you have to write city. By this, if you run this program, you will get the output name is equal to ls, age is equal to 20, and city is equal to value. See, it was not that hard, very simple. So here we created our done our first exercise. Now for the second exercise, exercise 2, you have to take an input from the user. You will take the input from user for its name. Okay, and then you have to print like welcome. Print you have welcome, and here it should be username here. What the name of the user inputted. Okay, so let's do it. Firstly, we take a variable name as name. As the name of the user will be a string only, we are not taking an other data type. Okay, so we are taking input, and then we write here enter your name. Then we have to print here welcome. Then we have to write here the name of the user, which is name. When we click on run code, we have to write the name of the user, which can be like user one, and the message written here welcome user. You can remove this one. Okay, so by that we completed our next exercises. Now for the third exercise, it is a little bit complex because you have to take two inputs for the third exercise. Right, you have to do you have to take student name as an input, then course as an input, then print student name and print course. So let's do this. These are our three exercises. Okay. For the third exercise, the uh, output format is this. Okay. So let's do this our third exercise. Let's comment this out and take input for the student name. We write here student name is equal to input and right here enter name. Okay. The next line we will write a course and write input course name. Now you have to print the student name and course name line by line. Print student name and print course. So here I run this program. First it will ask the name, I will write Rahul. Then it will ask the course name, I will write Python. And here I display both names. So by this we completed our Fourth, practice program. Now, here your last exercise, you have to make a mini profile generator. So, I should only show you the output format. The output format should be like profile. Below, there should be the written name and the name of the user, the input name. Then, under that, it should written age. Then, it should written city. So, for that, you can understand by this. For this, you have to write this by. Sorry, you have to write this by print statement. All these by your input. This input you will take now by this. So these two things we have to do here. Let's do this in our code editor. Comment or previous code and right here three variables: name, input, enter your name. Okay. Now after that we will write here. I think course. Let's see again. Age is equal to input. Enter your age. Here you can like int right here int, but it is not required. We will talk about this later. It is basically called typecasting. We will study later, but I have just shown brief explanation of this. Then next thing was city. Take your input, enter your city. Now, as we already taken the input information, just write this here. Now, for the output format, we have to print profile first in the string format. Okay. Then you have to print name and you have to write here name. Then print age and you also have to write here age also. Age. Then you have to write print here and you have to write here like your city and right here city. Then run this, enter your name, enter your age 18, enter your city Delhi. So it came as a profile name Delhi and city. So here we done our our exercises. For the exercise part, I want to say that we have noticed that all the programs are not that hard. You people learn programming step by step, just like don't understand mathematics in just a way in a go. So practice is the key to success in programming. Now we have written several Python beginner friendly programs. Let's not learn people do mistakes often writing these programs. So if you are people mostly do these names by writing. The first mistake you will do like by writing quotes around these variable names, which is wrong. As if we try to print this, there if I write my name Rahul or 8828 city Delhi, you can see here the name came as name, not the name I input. It happens because the print system take is in a string, not a variable information stored inside the variable. The second mistake people often do is to store the information in the variable. If I ran this a program for fine, I will write here Rahul age 90, city Delhi. You see here, if I remove this name also here, if I remove this and write a name, and then if I ran this, enter my name, and you see here error came. That name is not defined. However, here I have written name, but name is not defined before. That's why these are the mistakes to forgot to let user name. The third mistake is that people often do is to forget the naming rules for writing variables, like writing a variable starting with number. It will give you error. See, syntax error. So remembering the naming rules is also necessary. The fourth thing people often do is by making an identifier name as a keyword. Like here you write if, and here also you write if, and you're doing invalid syntax. So this is the fourth mistake people often do. Now the the next mistake is writing double equal to in place of uh, assignment. If you write here double equal to, basically double equal to it is used for comparison. It is a comparison operator. If you write this, it will also give error. See, name error. Next is expected input to return a number. Already if I remove this int and then however it will print as the age I have given, but it is real text, not a number. If you try to add something to age, then it will not work. Right? If I put here int, if I put here int and either here I put age plus 2, then if I when I'm taking it as an integer, I write here round 80 and Delhi. You can see the age becomes 20 because I have taken it as a number. But if I remove this int and then take input again, age is again we take 18 and city is Delhi. Now he will see the string concatenation, or let's see what happens. It is an error, not a string concatenation, because it is 2 is not a string. Here it says that it can only concatenate string, not an integer to string. Here 2 is an integer. If I put 2 here with this, then it will work fine. Let me show you. Right here, Rahul 20 and city Delhi. Let's see 202 because it is taken as string. They had concatenate, join the strings. So that's string concatenation one. Okay. Yeah, I will discuss in detail also. Just tell you a brief description about this. You should also remember to understand the error message also, like which error means what. Now, for the today's lecture, this brings us the end for the all the concepts we have learned till now. Now, let's quickly revise everything what we have learned today, so that the ideas keep still fresh in your mind. So, let's take a summary of the whole lecture, what we have learned till now. So, let's back to our this. So here started by here, like what is a variable? So variable is a location memory that is used to store data. Here we understand, like, to write the variable name in left hand side and the information to be stored in the variable in the right hand side. It is the wrong method of writing the variable, assigning value to the variable. Here we assign a number to a variable. Okay. Now then we have learned some naming rules of the variable in rule. So the variable should be begin with only a letter or underscore. Here I have given some examples to you with how should a variable name should start. Spaces are not allowed, only the underscore is allowed. And spaces and other special characters are not allowed. You should always use meaningful names to increase visibility of your code, not any other name rule. For taking name, use name. For taking age, use age word. Also, there are different styles for writing naming style, like snake space. Here we take for the space we take underscore between two words, and the whole two words are written in lowercase. For the camel case, we take the first letter of the first word small and the second letter of the second word capital with no any with not any space or, like, underscore as a space. Then we learn about identifier. What is an identifier? So identifier are a word that which used to identify a thing. Like here, name is identifying a variable name of the variable. Here, greet is identifying a function. Data name of the function is greet. I also told you a thing that uh, a variable is always an identifier, but an identifier not always a variable. Then we, like, learn what are keywords. if, for, while, and print. And we also learned that we can't use these keywords as identifiers because they are the reserved words. Like if is equal to 20, this is totally wrong. Here it is totally wrong. Now we also learn how to get all the list of the uh, identifiers by import keyword. I will told you about the use of this import. Actually, the import is used for importing the other module package of event. Here we learn about comments. The comment is a note written inside a program to explain the code. It is actually it is used to actually explain the code. What is the purpose of the code? The comments are up to date single line comments which use hash before any line to make it a comment. And multi-line uses triple quotes. Then we use the use of comments in the whole program, and also we understand uh, that you should write meaningful comments and not do over commenting in the programs. Then we have done some of the exercises and also learned some comma errors though in these programs. However, I have told you the errors theoretically, not done by writing, because I have previously also told you these errors. So by this we end our end this lecture. Don't worry if you don't remember immediately these things. These things take time and can be set up in your mind by repetition and practice only. Then my advice is to you that type program yourself. Don't stuck in this mm, tutorial cell. You learn more by writing programs only. So after that, there's one more final class left. Um, I will try to like give you some assignments and will tell you what we will study in the next lecture. So for the assignments, I will give you assignment 1. For the assignment 1, you have to write a Python program that stores your name, your age, and your city. Then you have to display all this by print statement, and you have to display here you have to display age, name, then age, then city. Then for the second assignment, this is the only the first assignment. For the second assignment, you should have to take the input also. So firstly, you will input a name, input. You have to input firstly name, then you have to input the favorite subject, favorite subjects. Then for the display, you have to display like this. Here you will write hello and write here the name. And here you will write uh, your favorite subject below and the here your the name of the subject, name of subject which you have taken as an input. Okay, so this is for your assignment 2, and assignment 2 right here. Assignment 2. For the assignment 3, you have to done the you have to do the variable naming practice and try different types of variable naming practice. And you should also research on the mm, website also. For the 4 assignment, you should try to imply assignment 4, 4. Try to use comments in your program. Okay. For the 5th, you have to make a mini profile generator like we have made here in this exercise. You have to do this same without doing the other sport. Okay. So before this, we end today's session. I'd like to share one important piece of advice to you. Like, don't focus on memorizing Python syntax. Syntax is not a thing to learn. Instead, focus on understanding concepts. Once you understand how variables input and output works, there is no need to learn syntax. In the future, you will also learn various programming languages. So by learning syntax, you can't learn all these programming languages, and you all keep all that in your mind. Every experienced programmer started with program just like we are studying. So make it a habit to write as like few programs every day, research yourself, and explore yourself. In our next lecture, we will learn about the data types like the int I show you here. We will also learn about that what is int, what is float, and why they are important. And numeric data types such as int, float, and complex. We will learn about complex also. String data type, boolean data type like true and false, and the check the type of value using the type function. I will told you in the next how to use type function and the use of type function. Basic type conversions. What I told you, the type casting I told you. We will do the type conversion. So that's all for today's lecture. However, this is a bit long lecture, but I hope you enjoyed this session and learned something valuable. Before watching the next lecture, I advise you to complete all these assignments. As you more try to more practice, you will get more capable of doing programming. So keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the journey of this programming. I see you in the next lecture. Goodbye, everyone.